Did you go to school with Rachel Anderson?
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Alderman Alder.
Here.
Alderman Flores.
Here.
Alderman Galloway.
Here.
Alderman Hutchinson. Alderman Owen.
Here.
Alderman Snyder.
Here.
We have 6 aldermen present. We have a quorum.
Thank you very much. First order of business is we'll look at the minutes. We have 3 sets of minutes from previous meetings. The first one was January the 16th, 2024 of the special session at 6:39 kind of the time. But anyway, any questions regarding those minutes as printed? If not, entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of January 6th special session, January 16th regular session, and January 18th non-legislative session.
Oh, so you're making all 3.
Is that okay?
And I will second all of those
Okay,
motions.
there's a first, a second to approve all 3 sets of minutes. All in favor, do so by show of hands. And it does carry. Okay. There's no ceremonial matters tonight. There's no scheduled guests at this point. So we're going to move to our first reading of bills and resolution. And of course, the first reading is open to public discussion based upon appropriate time as I make that be known. But first, we'll look at bill number 3531.
Your Honor, make a motion that we place bill number 3531 on its first reading by title and description only, please.
Okay. The motion is to place bill number 3531 on its first reading by title only. The motion was made by Alderman Snyder. It was seconded by Alderman Alder. All in favor of voting to discuss bill 3531, do so by show of hands. And it does carry.
An ordinance authorizing the city to enter into a contract with Cody Systems for police records management services.
Okay. At this time, we have staff comments by our Chief Justin Arnold.
Thank you. All right. The bill before you is a request for the police department to have the ability to enter into a multi-year agreement with Cody Systems. Cody Systems is our current records management system. It's what we do our police reports in. It captures a lot of our traffic stop data. We also use it for our evidence and property management system, our barcoding system for that, as well as we use it for different components with NCIC, National Crime Information Center, and then also for our submission of crime statistics to the federal government through NIBRS, which is the National Incident-Based Reporting System. The reason we're asking for this is currently we use an application-based platform of our RMS. The company that we go with, that we've been with since 2011, are developing a new web-based platform for the system, and we have been asked to be a limited release agency, which means that we'll be on the front end of the design of this new web-based platform, where we can have input, feedback, interactions with them while they're developing this platform. That way we can hopefully, ideally, have some say in what works and what doesn't work on the front end. There are a few benefits to going early, but ultimately, if we want to stay with this system, which we've been with for now 13 years, we're going to eventually have to transition to this new web-based platform. So this is just getting a little ahead of where we may be later on down the road. We will save a little bit of money through some waivers that the company is offering by us being a limited release agency. I really don't know what that cost savings looks like, but ultimately we do know that it'll save us some costs. The transition for 2024 was budgeted in the operating budget for this year. So it'll cost us about $10,900 for the transition. And that's what it will be in 2024, also with some monthly costs associated, which are, we have a bracket of where they will be, but we don't know an exact number. However, those were budgeted as well in 2024. We do know that in 2025, when we go to a full year term subscription license. The license will be $42,250. And then we'll pay between $478 and $528 monthly for cloud storage and then a Pathfinder storage service fee. And then it will also increase again in 2026, and that'll be the duration of the agreement that we're asking to enter into right now is through 2026. We do ask that this, if possible, be expedited because this agreement has to be signed on or before February 29th. I do recognize that we have one more meeting prior to that, but this is a pretty big deal for us. Our records management system is something that we use daily, not only with our police officers out on the streets, but our records clerks who are fulfilling requests of our citizens. Also our property clerk who is preparing evidentiary items and stuff like that for the court. So any hiccup with this could be pretty detrimental to us. So I just want to give us as much time as possible to make sure that we do this correctly and get that transition going and have this paperwork in place prior to a deadline looming.
Alderman Snyder.
Chief, this is a very user-friendly RMS, record management system for your officers, is that correct?
Yeah, we're very happy with it. It's a national company. There's not a whole lot of companies or a whole lot of agencies in Missouri that use this company, but we're very familiar with it. It performs all the functions that we need, all the requirements that we have on reporting to the federal government. We utilize it extensively in our accreditation, especially the barcoding systems for our property and evidence management system. So it's a user-friendly system. We have no intention of even looking at outside sources at this point because we have such a length of time and just a multitude of information entered into this system, and that we utilize it so much that we have no intention of going away from this company.
Gotcha. But it would also be safe to say that having a very active RMS is beneficial to your line of work. Is that correct?
Absolutely. When it comes to the documentation of information, even information sharing, and those type of things, that is not something that you want to skimp on. If you skimp on an RMS, you're going to find problems years down the road. It may come out in a court case. It may come out when there's a request for information from a member of the public, a member of the media, or something like that. But having a trusted RMS, it's of key importance to me as a police chief and also for a professional police organization.
Thank you.
I want to ask RMS.
Records management system.
Thank you.
Sorry. I try to get it out before I start using acronyms, but sometimes I talk really fast.
Alderman Flores.
Just a quick question. I'm sure they obviously thought this through, but for going for a cloud base, is there any security issues there, or did they?
I'm sorry, what?
Is there any issues with security or anything like that with them going cloud based, or is it pretty secure?
I'm not the best person to ask about that. You and I have had conversations about my feelings about technology and stuff like that. However, our technology vendor, Alltech, is very familiar with Cody. They're very well versed at working in Cody. And we've had a long-term relationship with them, now 13 years. I have no doubt that every precaution has been made to make sure that it is a well-secured system. We already use a portion of this system web-based. We submit all of our statistics to the federal government through the state of Missouri to the federal government in NIBRS, or National Incident-Based Reporting System. That's already web-based. Really what this is doing is consolidating multiple different application-based platforms that we utilize in this all into one web-hosted, I don't know if that's the right word, but one web-based platform. So right now we have our records management system software. We then have another component for NIBRS, which I just talked about. We have another component for an interface that we have with the dispatch center. And we have another component with NCIC. I do know that in order to be able to do that, NCIC, which is the National Crime Information Center, sharing, there are very, very high protocols and standards for any type of security related to that. And so I can only assume that if our platform has the ability to utilize a system like that or a system like NIBR's, they're meeting all the requirements that the federal government has in place for security. But I have no problem checking on that for you.
I'm sure they, to be able to do that, I'm sure they've had to cross out their Ts and dot all their Is, but I was just curious about it. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else questions for Chief Arnold? Okay,
Thank you for your time.
thanks, sir. Since this is our first reading, is there anyone here from the public who wishes to speak for bill number 3531? Okay, I see no movement. Anyone against bill 3531? Okay, and I forgot to ask Jennifer for the meeting. Anybody zoomed in question tonight? Okay, I won't have to ask you again. Thank you, ma'am. Okay. As the chief had already requested, this is the first reading, but because of the circumstance, he's asked that this bill be expedited tonight.
Your Honor, I make a motion that we place bill number 3531 on its second reading, please.
Is there? Okay, the motion is to place bill number 3531 on second reading and to be expedited, made by Alderman Snyder and seconded by Alderman Galloway. All in favor to discuss bill 3531, do so by show of hands, and it carries.
An ordinance authorizing the city to enter into a contract with Cody Systems for police records management services.
Okay, any questions for the chief? Okay, that I'll get answered. Okay,
Your Honor, I make a motion that we adopt bill number 3531 as ordinance number 24-012.
okay, and seconded by? Okay. Okay, the motion is that bill number 3531 be adopted to become ordinance 24-012. The motion was made by Alderman Snyder, is seconded by Alderman Alder. Roll call, please.
Alderman Alder. Alderman Flores. Alderman Snyder.
Aye.
Alderman Owen. Alderman Galloway. Alderman Hutchinson. We have 6 aye votes. Motion carries.
Thank you very much. We're going to move now to resolution 1993.
Your Honor, I move that we read Resolution 1993 by title only.
Okay, and seconded by? Okay, so the motion is to read resolution 1993 by title only. The motion is made by Alderman Galloway, seconded by Alderman Hutchinson. All in favor to discuss resolution 1993, do so by show of hands, and that does carry.
A resolution by the Board of Aldermen of the City of Ozark, Missouri, adopting the Ozark Strategic Plan.
Okay, and I believe, okay, Director Jennifer, are you going to be?
I can.
Okay,
I'll answer if I can.
okay. Alderman Snyder.
Your Honor, I just have a couple of things I'd like to address with this particular resolution before we get started.
Yes, sir.
When this was discussed, I was not there, okay? And I was not there both days by choice. And I need the folks in the audience and the gallery and the rest of the aldermen know I'm going to abstain from any type of a vote on this. Okay, it's only fair, but I also need to tell them why, okay? With regard to this, the reason that I did not go there, we went outside our city to discuss this with a third-party entity. We paid several $1,000s to a third-party entity and spent money outside of our city to another vendor to host this. And I just didn't feel that that was the appropriate thing to do. We should have kept that here. But that is why I'm abstaining from this. I do not disagree that we do not need a strategic plan, but I was not part of the initial discussion with this, and it would be very unfair for me to vote in favor of it.
Thank you, sir. Alderman Galloway.
Yeah, I appreciate the abstention for not being there. A couple of things, though. We've had, I've served on the Board of Aldermen for a few different terms now, and I've experienced different kinds of strategic planning meetings. The first one I went to was the most effective, which was similar to this one. It was in Springfield and facilitated by a company that does this as part of their work. And the rest have been staff-sponsored here in town. The reason why I feel that the facilitated ones are more effective is frankly because the staff is not delivering it. I'm not being disrespectful to staff, but we all have our in our own kind of box at times, with our own vision. And, really, it ought to be the board that sets policy and vision with the staff's assistance, rather than with their leadership on those issues. We have very good staff. They're very well informed, but it just seemed to me that we kind of had the process backwards. With the facilitated one, we had board members sitting at a table with department heads, and each person said exactly what they wanted for the city and had the ability to look the other in the eye and say it clearly, and people could question back and forth. And as that process went on, you developed board policy and board vision that also staff was able to buy into. But it allowed the initiative to be by the board. And I think that's a very important part of that process, and it's going to pay back the city every penny of the money we spent for the facilitators. In terms of taking it outside, it's like a board retreat if you've worked on a not-for-profit. A lot of those are done just in the town away, which is kind of what we did. It does a couple things. It pulls you out, puts you in a different environment. We're always here. We're in this room. We've been into other venues. All of us that are local have been to the other venues. Kind of gives you a different setting. But the other thing, I was talking to a businessman who has these things for these events for his organization, for his board and his staff, for a successful corporation. And what he said is, I found that if I did these things near my business or on campus, my staff would have their phones with them, and they're still working. They're still talking, they're still working, and they're not paying attention to what I need them to do, is to get their heads out of their work and kind of take a view and look on the horizon and see where we need to go. And that was true with all of my other Board of Aldermen meetings where we had them in town. I noticed that as well. It was just very hard to get staff to separate itself from its workday because we're having it on its workday. And I did see those phones out, and I did see those computers out. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying this was a better move, and I think we've got a very good quality product here, and I think the city of Ozark is going to be pleased because this is going to affect a lot of things as we move forward.
Okay. Any questions regarding the plan? Anything, question for Dr. Jennifer? Okay, thank you. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak regarding Resolution 1993 as for or against? I'm not seeing movement, so therefore, Alderman Galloway.
Move to adopt resolution number 1993.
Okay, and seconded by? Okay, the motion is that we adopt Resolution 1993, and the motion is made by Alderman Galloway, seconded by Alderman Alder. All in favor of voting to approve Resolution 1993, do so by show of hands. Okay, and it does carry. Okay, now we're going to move on to our second readings of our final passage of the bills we have tonight. Now, because it's the second reading, these bills are closed to public discussion and just board discussion only. We're going to begin first with bill number 3525.
I'd like to make a motion to place bill number 3525 on its, make a motion to, where am I at?
Okay.
Second reading. Make a motion to place bill number 3525 on its second reading by title and description only.
Okay, and seconded by, okay. The motion is to place bill number 3525 on its second reading by title only. The motion is made by Alderman Owen, it's seconded by Alderman Hutcherson. All in favor to discuss bill 3525, do so by show of hands. And that does carry.
An ordinance amending the zoning code and official map by changing the zoning classification of certain real property, generally known as a parcel, approximately 3.27 acres at State Highway NN. And Mayor, just as a preliminary matter, I want to inform the board that the city staff did receive a petition in opposition related to this zoning amendment. And under state law, the city staff reviewed that petition. There is a requirement of 30% to meet the requirements for a 2/3 vote. And this only reached 6.151%. So when you have the information in front of you, there should be a summary. There's a map that shows the parcels, and then there's also the actual petition. But if you have any questions about that aspect, I'm happy to answer it.
Okay. Director Cameron, any questions for Director Cameron regarding bill number 3525? Okay, Alderman Galloway, are you, okay.
All right. Well, I guess I'll be the first one to say something. I'm willing to listen, more than willing in every case, but in this case, I'm really willing to listen to a counterpoint. It's not like I have a monopoly on the perspective here. I just thought I would share mine. The way that I approach the issue is, this is just a land use issue. It's an appropriate issue to bring to the board. I don't find any fault with the developer for wanting to, to bring the proposal as it has been brought to the board. A landowner has a right to the enjoyment of their land. That includes the right to make a profit from their land. I don't think that anybody in this room really has any quarrel with that thought. I thought the developer presented well, and I think everything they were doing was lawful. I don't think this vote is a referendum on staff performance. I did hear a couple of public comments about that. Staff behaved very appropriately in writing the report for us. It was drafted in a very clear way. It had the information that we needed to make a decision. The fact that they made a recommendation is because we require them to make a recommendation. They're very knowledgeable. They have specialized training in this, and they're required to do it. The question for me is not whether I disagree with the recommendation, not whether they're doing their job right. I know they're doing their job right. They've done it consistently well. In this case, the question is whether the board agrees that the proposed land use is consistent with our ordinances and our policies. And our policies are about our vision for the community. Here, if you look at the report from staff, there are a couple of observations or facts that were listed that were pertinent to my thoughts on it. One is that the proposed ordinance is inconsistent with the comprehensive plans approach to that area. And it says it right there. The comprehensive plan is something that is voted on by a prior board. That means elected people from this community oversaw a process that is months long. And it involves every stakeholder in the community. And what I mean by that, developers, citizens, nonprofits, other governmental agencies, everybody, including board members, to come up with a vision of how, of all this land that we've got and the 20,000 plus people we have, how is this land going to be used? And that comprehensive plan is statutory. It's done every 10 years. It's voted on and adopted by resolution of this board. It sets out what our plan is. Now, that's not the end all or be all of any proposal. Always, if there's a better use for the land, we should consider it. But we have to start, I think, with what the comprehensive plan sets out for the land use. Now, we all know, and this is what got me tripped up in the beginning of my thinking, is that the land is presently zoned commercial, and that is not single family, and that is not what is part of the comprehensive plan. And it is non-conforming, and you actually see that written by staff. It has a non-conforming use. And to me, that is an interesting point, and I think that was where a lot of, well, actually, there wasn't a lot of attention given to that point by opponents of the development, but the fact is you have to look at that. It's commercial. It can be any size store you want. It's general commercial. It's designed for high volume traffic. That is the whole point of that zoning. So yes, it is inconsistent with the comprehensive plan too. And the question is, well, what's the answer? Well, I think that the answer that you first look to, the first solution you look to is, well, why wouldn't we, if we have the opportunity, rezone it back to what the comprehensive plan wanted? If it's not appropriate, why would we go to something that is also non-conforming? And honestly, I couldn't come up with a reason not to do that. I'm not saying that there isn't some other way to zone this property, but what had been proposed is medium density, and there are no examples of that within the area. There are a couple of duplexes I heard mentioned there, but there's zoning for duplexes. Maybe that's a better use of the land. I heard that from people who spoke in opposition to the proposed zoning change. I might be inclined to look at that, but that issue is not before me. The only thing that is before me is medium density. And the developer said they would only take it up to 2 stories, which they didn't have to do. I really appreciated that. But I can't get over, that's such a different use from single family, which is set out in the comprehensive plan. The other thing that you look at is, you have to take your nose out of the comprehensive plan and look around. And you look around, that character of that area is single family, lots and subdivision. That's its character. And the medium density is out of character. And we're entitled to look at that. Is it within the character of the land? And again, you start with, well, what did the comprehensive plan say? Exactly that. Now, that doesn't mean that the city was perfect, I guess, in approving duplexes there, but there's not many, and it doesn't affect the character of that area. I think people who move out there expect more of the same. This is a traditional type of subdivision situation out there. I don't live in that. I have lived in that. I enjoyed living in that. I prefer my other situation in Center City, but I certainly understand when I lived in a subdivision, that's what I expected was going to be around me, unless there was some countervailing factor that's not present. You know, what are the things that could affect it? Well, if it was closer to Highway 65 and we've got a need for transitional housing, that would certainly, I'd pay attention to that. If it was by a big commercial complex where you still need transitional housing, that would affect it. But none of that is true. It's just agricultural land, lots, and a subdivision. To me, you know, when something is within the comprehensive plan that is voted on by the board, is adopted and used as our guide, and it is designed to be used as our guide. The foundation, I read a definition, it is the foundation by which there will be future land regulation. When it is inconsistent with your foundation, and it is not consistent with, or if it is inconsistent with your foundation, if there's not a better use for it proposed, and it's against the character of the rest of the area, then how do I hang, what peg do I hang my hat on to support a zoning change? I'm very sympathetic to a developer or an owner that wants to profit from their land, because that includes everybody in this room that owns land. They want to sell it and make money at some point. But the question is the appropriate land use for us, and I have not heard the case for it. I'm willing to listen from my board members, but I have not heard the case to overcome it. The only other factor that I thought of is that for me, it's not in the law, I have a long-standing deference to planning and zoning and their recommendation. Mainly that's because I expect as a body, they're going to be closer to it. They are experienced, most of them, in these kinds of decisions. And I want them to feel invested in their process, and I don't want them to think that their voice means nothing. And it comes to the board and we can vote willy-nilly, it doesn't matter. I don't like that signal. I want them to continue to volunteer, and I want to continue to rely on them. But the problem here is that I don't have a way of giving deference. That comprehensive plan really says a lot. The character of the use says a lot. I appreciate the condition that was placed on it, but it doesn't do it. It is still out of character for that area. It's still not in compliance with the comprehensive plan. And I don't know where to go on deference. I wish I did, because they usually do. Sorry, they did a good job here. It's a hard one to say. I'm not saying they did a bad job, but I usually vote with them is a better way for me to put it. But here I just can't ignore the fact that we as a board, we talk about the strategic plan, we as a board with the comprehensive plan set out policy, big time, in detail. And I think that we need to honor that. So for that reason, and I will listen, I certainly want to hear a counterpoint, but I'm inclined to vote against the zoning change.
Owen, you was next.
I think in my world, you hear the term, it's not personal, it's business. You hear that a lot. And being an alderman, not that long, since April, you can't say that because people live, these are their communities. It is very personal, right? And then on the city side, staff working so hard, appreciate the developers putting all the time and effort into it. I drove through there. I looked at it myself. I won't spend a lot of time, but I just can't get there. The traffic, I'll be voting against as well. I just want to make that clear.
Okay, Snyder is next.
I received several pieces of correspondence, phone calls from you folks. And there's a big difference between hearing and listening. And I listened to what you had to say. I listened to what the developer had to say. But you have an investment there, and you want to continue with your investment, and I respect that. I've seen firsthand what happens when multifamily housing is put against the wall in a residential subdivision. There's an increase in traffic. There's an increase in foot traffic. There's an increase in criminal activity. It cannot be denied. The degradation of property values is in play. I don't want that. I have investment in my house. I don't want that property value to go down either. I'm very proud of what I have, very proud of where I live, as you folks are. We also need to take into consideration, anytime we add a single house, we have to add police service, fire service, ambulance service. When you multiply that by 4, 6, 8, that's that many more calls that an emergency responder has to deal with. A lot of developers do not understand that. They say they do, but they do not understand that, okay? There are a multitude of things that can happen when you put this type of a development next to a residential area. We don't know what's going in there. We don't know what type of personality is going to move in. We have no idea. You folks are established, and I would like to see you to remain established. I did hear that there was no opposition for single-family homes. I think that is fair, and I think that would be something viable for that piece of property. I think 55 plus was mentioned as well, which I think would be very palatable. I can't do this. I can't go against what you have told me. It's not going to happen. I will vote against this.
Yes, Alderman Alder.
In support and representing the citizens of Ward 3, I will vote no on the rezoning of this property.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay. Yeah, no, go ahead. I think we're done with comment. Yes.
All right, I'll make a motion to adopt bill number 3525. Let's see. As ordinance 24-012.
Yep.
13.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, the motion is that bill number 3525 be adopted, become ordinance 25-013. The motion was made by Alderman Owen, same with Alderman Galloway. Roll call, please.
Alderman Galloway?
Nay.
Alderman Owen?
Nay.
Alderman Flores?
Nay.
Alderman Hutchinson? Alderman Snyder?
Nay.
Alderman Alder? We have 6 nay votes, motion fails.
Now we'll move on to bill number 3526 for its second reading.
I make a motion to place bill number 3526 on its second reading by title.
Okay, the motion is that we adopt bill number 3526 on second reading by title only. The motion was made by Alderman Owen, second by Alderman Flores. All in favor to discuss bill number 3526, do so by show of hands. And it carries.
An ordinance amending the zoning code and official map by changing the zoning classification of certain real property, generally known as a parcel, approximately 30 acres in size, bordered by South 9th Street on the east and Woodcrest subdivision on the west.
Okay, Director Cameron Smith, any questions regarding this second reading? Any, I don't see, no? Just to make sure. Okay, I'm not seeing. Okay. So,
I'd like to make a motion.
To adopt, bill number 24-013. I'm sorry. I'd like to make a motion to adopt bill number 3526 as ordinance number 23-013.
okay. So the motion is to adopt bill number 3526 to become ordinance 24-013. The motion was made by Alderman Owen, the second by Alderman Flores. Roll call, please.
Alderman Hutchinson. Alderman Snyder. Alderman Owen. Alderman Alder. Alderman Galloway. Alderman Flores. We have 6 aye votes, motion carries.
Now we'll move on to the second reading of bill number 3527.
I'd like to make a motion to place bill number 3527 on its first reading by title only.
Well, on second reading,
Sorry.
by title.
I'd like to make a motion to place bill number 3527 on its second and final reading by title only.
And seconded by? Okay. Okay, the motion is that we adopt bill number 3527 on second reading by title only, and the motion was made by Alderman Owen, the second by Alderman Hutcherson. All in favor to discuss bill 3527, we do so by show of hands. That does carry. Yes.
An ordinance approving the preliminary plat for Finley Crossing and authorizing the Director of Planning and Development to accept the dedication of the public streets and easements to the city as shown on the preliminary plat upon the applicant filing and recording a final plat that substantially conforms to the preliminary plat, and authorizing the city clerk to sign the final plat upon compliance with the terms of this ordinance.
Okay. Any comments from Director Cameron or any questions for Director Cameron regarding bill 3527? Okay, I am not seeing any. Okay.
I can make a motion to adopt bill number 3527 as ordinance number 24-0.
Okay. And seconded by?
Second.
Okay. The motion is to adopt bill number 3527 to become ordinance 24-014. The motion made by Alderman Owen, second by Alderman Galloway. Roll call, please.
Alderman Flores. Alderman Alder. Alderman Owen. Alderman Hutchinson. Alderman Galloway. Alderman Snyder. We have 6 aye votes, motion carries.
Okay, now we're going to move on now to bill number 3528.
It was right this time. I'd like to make a motion to place bill number 3528 on its second and final reading by title.
Okay, and seconded by? Okay, okay. The motion is to place bill number 3528 on second reading by title only. The motion was made by Alderman Owen, second by Alderman Hutcherson. All in favor to vote to discuss bill 3528, do so by show of hands. And that does carry.
An ordinance amending the municipal code of the city of Ozark, Missouri, section 405310, C2 General Building Design Guidelines.
Okay. Again, any questions for Director Cameron or anything you wish to comment upon? Okay, not hearing. Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt bill number 3528 as ordinance number 24-015.
Seconded by? Okay. The motion is to adopt bill number 3528 to become ordinance 24-015. Motion is made by Alderman Owen, second by Alderman Hutcherson. Roll call, please.
Alderman Snyder. Alderman Hutchinson. Alderman Galloway. Alderman Flores. Alderman Alder. Alderman Owen. We have 6 aye votes, motion carries.
Okay. We'll go to our last bill now, it's bill number 3529.
Your Honor, I make a motion to place bill number 3529 on its second reading, please.
Okay. The motion is to place bill number 3529 on second reading by title only. The motion is made by Alderman Snyder, second by Alderman Galloway. All in favor to discuss bill 3529, do so by show of hands, and that does carry.
An ordinance authorizing the city to enter into a contract with All Tech Solutions Group Incorporated for services related to updating the camera systems at the Ozark Community Center.
Okay. Any questions? We're going to change now, Cameron, you're off the hook. Any questions for Director Hayden regarding bill number 3529? Okay, yes, sir.
I just had a real quick comment before we
Yes, sir.
do this. I absolutely think this is a good idea to upgrade this system here and add the cameras with, what we discussed. I think it's going to be beneficial to the OC as a whole.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think it's worth noting too, this is just the first step.
No other question then? Yes. Okay. Yeah, yes, go ahead.
Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion to adopt bill number 3529 as ordinance number 24-016.
Okay, the motion is to adopt bill number 3529 to become ordinance 24-016. The motion was made by Alderman Snyder, second by Alderman Galloway. Roll call, please.
Alderman Owen.
Aye.
Alderman Snyder.
Aye.
Alderman Hutchinson. Alderman Alder. Alderman Flores. Alderman Galloway. We have 6 aye votes, motion carries.
Okay, at this time, we will move to reports from our interim city administrator, Ben DeClerc.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I wanted to let everybody know that Jeremy Parsons and I met with a nice gentleman named Kevin, owner of Spalding Cave, last Friday. And Kevin was kind enough to give us a full tour of the cave and the property. We did that as sort of a reset of the relationship between the city and Spalding. I'd never been there before, was very interested. I have some kin that used to own Merrimack Caverns, so I've always been kind of a cave guy. But recognizing kind of its importance to the area, we wanted to sort of hit the reset button on that relationship and show him that we are listening to his concerns and, that we're continuing to make progress with some of the issues that he raised that potentially we could, help out with. Obviously, there's a lot of factors that go into a complicated ecosystem like a cave that he owns, but we certainly listened and are going to continue to listen and talk with him going forward. So should you hear anything from him, kind of the contrary, please let us know, because we thought we left things on a pretty good note with him, and definitely an open line of dialogue between our two entities, and really stressed the importance of the tourism and the interest that his cave brings to this community. I mean, it's even on our website as a kind of a prominent link, which I hope sort of said something to him that we really value that relationship and that asset for this community. The other thing I wanted to touch on, our recruiter will be here next week. His name is Lee Jaborski. And all of you, I believe at this point, except perhaps you, Dave, have a one-on-one time with him. I think he's going to try to work out a phone call with you. He is also meeting with other representatives from the community, including the Chamber, Show Me Christian County, is talking to the school district in an attempt to sort of get to know the community better, which I think everybody agreed was a very important component to the recruiter that we selected. But also to get a sense of the needs of this community and what sort of personality and leadership style would really fit this community the best. They have a vested interest in finding the best candidate for this position and not just a quick slapdash solution and getting out of town. So he's going to be here. I think the mayor's going to start with a tour of town with him first thing in the morning, and then he'll go from there. I believe that you'll then meet here at 6:15 for a wrap-up session, which should be done by about 7. Obviously, he may still have 1 or 2 people to talk to. I know he's going to speak with all of the department directors as part of his visit, but not quite everybody can make it, so he'll be doing a call there as well with one of our department directors that can't make it. So looking very much forward to having him in town, and I think he's excited to come here and get to know the community. I gave him a few places to see and eat while he's around. A couple suggestions on places to stay too. So I think I haven't heard exactly when he'll be in. I'm assuming Sunday night based on his early morning schedule. Should be here probably through Tuesday morning. So with that, Mayor, I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay. Okay. What about update on the communication director?
Sure. We've been advertising now for approximately 2 weeks, just a little over. We have over 40 applicants. We narrowed that list down to approximately 10 or so shortlist candidates, and the mayor and Jennifer and I will be meeting to evaluate those and reduce that down to a list of 5 to do initial interviews with. After we've done that initial interview round, we will then bring back the top 3 to meet with the entirety of the department heads, go through a second round there, and the mayor will be bringing forward a candidate to the board for approval after that.
Okay. And just, I guess, an announcement, our next breakfast meeting is February the 16th. Okay. And we will be discussing at that, you want to give a heads up?
Yeah, it was my understanding that you guys, or folks heard a presentation from Show Me Christian County at your December breakfast session that was cut a little short. So what we're doing is we're actually bringing them back in to complete that presentation. I believe they have some additional, economic development ideas to also talk about with you. So they may also be putting together some sort of panel with some other folks from the economic development industry as part of that as well. So we look forward to a robust conversation about economic development in the community at that meeting.
I see Alderman.
Yeah, sorry. My question was, when you said that you'll bring before the candidate, is that just one candidate, 3, or how does that work when you said that earlier?
So the mayor actually has the hiring authority in this instance due to the way that my interim contract was constructed. It's my understanding under your system, typically the city administrator makes a hire subject to the confirmation of the mayor and the board of aldermen, similar to how a dismissal would happen. So typically that process would just be completely staff driven with a recommendation to the board. In this case, because the mayor is actually the hiring authority, he'll be involved in that as well.
Okay. Any other comments?
One thing is we said the breakfast meeting was on.
16?
Friday.
Oh, sorry, 15.
15, okay.
I was off.
I figured it was.
Yeah, and also on the next meeting, because it's a holiday. Yes. Okay, okay. We do have a closed session dealing with some legal issues, and so therefore, if we're going to move, we need a motion to go into closed session. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry, sir.
I've got just real too quick. Is there any way, from a legal standpoint, we could reach out to Burger King and find out what they're doing? Because that's a blank piece of property. It's been sitting there well over a year. And if it's not being used, I'd like to jerk their license and get something else in there.
I can answer that.
And I have a twofold question, so go ahead.
Well, last week, I believe they did submit plans for the reconstruction of the new facility. We do have those now in review. They do plan to go ahead and tear the building down and build a brand new building there on site. I don't think they're going to do a lot of site changes. It's probably going to look pretty consistent what it is today. But yeah, we have got information from them that plan to rebuild.
Okay, so
Yes.
Burger King is
Yeah.
probably gonna be a new one.
Yeah, it'll be the new prototype. I'm not sure what that looks like. I didn't look at the plans myself, but yes, it's a brand new facility, new building, tear down the existing full building and build back a new one.
And the other question I have, I've asked you about it already, Cameron. The proposal that Show Me Christian County had, we listened to a presentation about the piece of property, but there's been speculation about another McDonald's. Holy cow.
Yeah, I'm not sure that we have any final information from that developer in terms of what end users they will have, but they do have a mix of developments, including some maybe potential fast food or sit-down restaurants. So we'll see what they propose, and then, you'll have an opportunity to have a discussion.
Because I've heard so many folks, they do not want another McDonald's restaurant here, and we don't have control over that, but still, it's something I think we need to look at. We need some good sit-in, sit-down restaurants here, and some other commerce other than fast food. That's just my take on that.
Any other comments? Sorry, anyone about that? No? Okay, entertain a motion to go into closed session? Okay, the motion is to go in closed session made by Alderman Galloway, second by Alderman Alder. So roll call, please.
Alderman Alder. Alderman Flores. Alderman Galloway. Alderman Hutchinson. Alderman Owen. Alderman Snyder. We have 6 aye votes, motion carries.
Okay, let's go into motion is made, we adjourn by Alderman Galloway, second by Alderman Hutchinson. All in favor, just show of hands. And we are adjourned.